Hey, welcome back. This month, we are going to be on vacation, but we have some good stuff for you. We are going to do multiple compilation episodes that are going to include some of the highlights and best moments from each of our episodes. So, week one is going to be episodes 1 through 4. We're going to share some of that goodness with you. So, it's actually a great way to get a taste test or a reminder of some of the best moments. So, Episode 1, welcome to Ashton and Keegan. They are the founders of Short Kings Movers, and they have some great advice to share for anybody looking to start a business or interested in how to grow a moving business. Any weird situations early?
Yeah, we ran into a couple situations. People try to take advantage of us sometimes just because we're younger.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned we got to set our foot down, and at first we didn't have a contract, and we booked a move to Georgia, and came time, and he backed out, and we learned real quick. Got to have a written contract signed, ready to go. So that that was probably the first eye opener to us. I'd say it was a Georgia move.
Yeah, because before then, I mean, we were young, just getting out. We had a contract and everything made, but once we arrived there, we would go over it with them and then get the signature and start moving. So now we send it over to their email, DocuSign, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Yep. So we
That's
do
right.
that, get the contract signed, and then we know we got the move. It's all scheduled. I mean, that was a great paying one for us. That would have been our first one out of state, and we had the dates and everything set up, but we backed out, and since we didn't have a contract signed, we just had to take the loss on that. So that
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah, when we go into a house or an apartment, we want to get to know you, kind of know what you're going through, and try to just make your move as stress free as possible. Because you being in the real estate industry, people are either they're really excited to get into their first house they're buying. They might have to be selling the house for whatever reason it is, so it could possibly be a bad time for them moving out. So just put yourself in their shoes and kind of know what they're going through. I feel like we're very good at interacting with our clients, and just we want to give them the best possible service. And we know it can be a stressful time moving, and so we're there for them. We get what's going on.
This episode, you'll get treated by some staging secrets with Anna. Anna has owned C2 Interiors and is my personal staging consultant and has been in the home merchandising business for more than 2 decades. She is wonderful, and welcome to some of Anna's secrets.
In staging, when it comes to putting your house up on the market for resale purposes, again, decluttering is essential. And all of these items that we're going to talk about, they do exactly what you were talking about. They help sell the house faster. In a lot of instances, they bring you more money. So decluttering is taking down items off of the walls, picking up those area rugs, painting. I always recommend going through the house and doing a nice neutral light tone. Don't go too gray, don't go too beige, just something that is, even white, because white is so popular right now. And if you have the opportunity to replace the carpet, again, you don't have to go top of the line carpet, go with an inexpensive carpet, keep it light and airy, because those two things, they're big. And when you declutter your house, then you also remove some of your furniture pieces so that it's opens up the area. When you add the new paint and the carpet, the house feels new. And some of those types of things that help communicate to the person that's looking at your house that you've taken very good care of your home. And that's also a huge plus for those people who are looking at your home to buy it. Because if you've taken great care of your house, they're going to think that there's no problems, and they're going to have more confidence in buying your house. Curb appeal is huge, whether it's resale or new homes. Just making sure your grass is cut, it's watered. If it's in the summertime, we want green grass, not brown grass.
Right.
Planting some extra flowers. Maybe you have flower pots on the porch. Sometimes there might be a crack on the porch in the cement. So if you have potted plants that are pretty, people notice those. versus the crack that's on the porch. So those things are, again, they're small in expense, but they really help get somebody into the front door and present a positive effect on your house.
All right, get ready for a special treat. Here in this episode, we have Josh Pulsifer with Transnation Title. He shares about his struggles growing up, the influence of his grandparents, and several more items. Enjoy the highlights from this episode.
Worked at Finish Line from 16 to 26. So I was there for 10 years and I did the whole retail. I moved all over not the country, just to Indiana for a little while. Ran a really big store in Indianapolis, Indiana, Caston Square Mall. But through all of this journey, I always was so focused on making money at the time because I did get married pretty young and we had 3 little boys, at the time.
Okay.
And so my life at that moment was, and this is kind of where I strayed away from the teachings of what God taught me and what my grandparents taught me on. My focus was just money. There's no way in my mind my kids were going to grow up the way I grew up, not knowing what you're going to eat and not knowing if you're going to have enough clothes to bring to school. So I was just so focused on work at Finish Line. I was training to be a district manager, so my career was going really well for how young I was. I was only, I think, 23 or 24 at the time. And then my wife, she said, hey, I want a divorce. And I'm like, oh, and then it just hit you like a ton of bricks. Like, what did I do wrong? I felt like I was supporting my family. My kids have everything they need. I just wasn't there. The vulnerability I don't know, it just kind of went away for a while. Nobody wanted to be vulnerable with each other. I think the more you expose yourself about stuff that's real and honest, the more you're going to realize like you're going to connect better with other people because they're going to feel that certain way about something that happened to you,
Right.
And I feel like too, in the business sense, you have to have emotional intelligence, man. You have to be able to look at people, read them, see, there's difference between sympathy and empathy. It's like you either feel really sorry and you kind of feel with them, or you just feel sorry for them. There's a big difference between that, man. And I feel like the more you become more empathetic to people, man, just the stronger bonds in the relationships you're going to build with people, because then you're going to be that person that they feel comfortable with sharing if they're going to think about something bad, or it's really about how you can help other people, man, and just be a mentor. Coming from a mentee, I believe everybody needs a mentor in their life, somebody that's a little bit older than them. Mine's a guy named Bruce Bush, which I was just telling you about. Like, he's a good mentor of mine. He just taught me a lot of life lessons, and he's in his 70s, and I feel like you got to have somebody like that in your life to hopefully learn from. That way you can pass his stuff down to somebody, it's because it's real stuff.
Get ready for beer and board games with Nate Murray with the House Rules Board Games Lounge. Hear Nate's story about how he decided to start this place. They are a wonderful business in downtown Grand Rapids, have grown tremendously and continue to expand. He shares some really cool stories about how things got started and working with business partners, etc. So enjoy this episode and check out the full one. Thank you.
She said, somebody's opened up a board game bar in Grand Rapids. And I said, what? I was immediately mad. I was so mad about this. They took my idea. And I said, well, is he a cool guy? He's like, yeah, he's super cool. I said, should I give him a call? She goes, you should give him a call. So I got his number. I called him up, said, hey, you don't know me. My name's Nathan. I had this board game bar concept. I'd love to talk with you. He said, come on in. Came in that afternoon and we talked, and the rest is history. And we started a business shortly after that. And this would have been, 2020, the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021. And the rest is history. And now we're going 4 years strong at House Rules Lounge, and we're expanding, and things are moving great. So
that's amazing. But you probably, if you wouldn't have done all that legwork ahead of time, and you wouldn't have been ready when somebody mentioned that, hey, somebody else is, and you wouldn't have had the funding, your partner. No. So is that a 50-50 work, or is it 50-50 financial? You don't have to get into the details. But
so my partner and I are 50-50 partners. He when I rolled into this bar and said we should be partners, he told me the same thing the bank said. You've never worked a bar in your life. I don't know. I want to be your partner. You've never done this. And he was 100% right. So I just said, let me work for free. He was just the one guy. I said, I'll show up and work for free. You don't have to pay me. I just want to learn about how this bar works. And he said, okay. So I showed up and I poured beers and swept the floor, and anything that I could do, I would do it. And then we just sort of talked. I realized we were going to be compatible personalities. If you're going to have a business partner, you got to get along with them. It's a marriage. sorts. And we talked about that, but yeah, we're 50-50 partners. We're invested equally. We wanted to operate it as an equal. My partner, Brian, was great. We get along. We split every decision. We've never had an argument. We get along great. So it's
That's
been really
shocking.
fortunate. The biggest hurdles we got over and we sort of managed was we had to really embrace this turntable mindset. If you're going to own a restaurant, you probably heard the phrase, you got to turn tables. And restaurants become profitable by turning lots of tables over quickly and getting more people in. And I proposed, and it was in our business plan, that we actually don't have to turn tables. We want people to stay there for hours. If they want to come in and stay 8 hours and play games, that's a great idea. They'll spend more, they'll drink more, they'll make a lot of money. And we got about 6 months into it, and we realized that simply wasn't the case. There's a spending curve that everyone has where it starts off real high and then it dies right down. And so people who were there for literally 5, 6, and 7 hours in our place were that last 2 hours, they just weren't spending anything. You can only drink so much. You can only eat so much.
Sure.
And so we really had to embrace this idea that, like, we're not technically turning tables, but we need to be aware of how long people are and kick them out. So we have a 3-hour maximum reservation window. Most people book 2 to 3 hours, and then we get them out and get the next people in.
Okay.
That was one hurdle we had to jump through real quick.